Okay, so for the sake of the recording, this is the Board of Health meeting of November 5th, 2025. The entire board is here and our names are clearly indicated here. So on the agenda, I would assume that the first thing was the minutes. Are we good on minutes from the last meeting? Did everybody feel that they were comprehensive enough?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I guess we better have a motion and a vote.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second,
Second, Arlene seconds. All in favor, Arlene,
yes.
Wim,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Noreen.
No,
Noreen,
muted.
Yes.
thank you. And Kat, yes. Okay. Is there any, away from any potential regulations that we want to talk about, is there anything that we should hear about? Any updates that you want to give us, Noreen or Garrett or anybody?
No,
Good. I think Arlene went to the collaborative meeting last month. Did you, Arlene?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute.
You were going
Last
to go.
month. God.
Yeah, last month. I've got an agenda. There's one coming up soon.
No, I don't think I did.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Anything else?
I just have a quick thing. I'll just remind everybody that I'm the alternate member on the Homeland Security Council for Western Mass. And I wonder if anybody else is interested in serving on that board. I'm the public health alternative member. Have been for about 10 years.
I'm sorry, for which board? Can you say-
Homeland Security, Western Mass Homeland Security Council.
Oh,
Tell us a little more about it.
Basically what we do is we get over $1 million in grant money a year that's divided between public health education, various projects and equipment, purchasing. The board has membership of across 4 counties, Hampshire, Hampden, Franklin, and Berkshire. It's a collaborative group of members of firefighting, police associations, sheriff's office, UMass, public health, just about any sort of rescue and help related organization you can think of in Western Massachusetts. And we have committees that help determine, how the money should be allocated in the throughout the region. Yeah, and we sponsor lots of really excellent training that wouldn't otherwise be available to our rural areas, like specialized rescue along the Connecticut River using, equipment that wouldn't be available in other kinds of situations, for example.
can you talk a little bit about what kind of knowledge one ought to have before sitting on this, sitting in this position, or also about the frequency with which it meets?
It meets once a month. You're usually on a subcommittee that meets once a month too. I was on the education committee, and it meets once a month for an hour before the whole the larger group meets. I had absolutely no expertise or background whatsoever. The meetings are public. I'm happy to forward how you get on a Zoom meeting so you can sit and see the kinds of things that we do. I think one of the biggest benefits of it is kind of sharing what's going on and all, sharing knowledge and awareness of what's going on in all kinds of areas. I mean, another one I didn't mention was even like the highways department is part of our coalition that meets together. So you learn what kind of trouble there might be if, a highway isn't open, during some sort of emergency situation or that kind of thing. Ask me again, did I answer your question, Arlene?
Yeah, and I was also gonna ask whether they were in-person meetings
No,
or
they're Zoom, they're
virtual.
Zoom. They used to be in person and that was great. You got to meet a lot of people that you wouldn't necessarily know
Mhm.
before, make some good contacts, but they've been Zoom for 3 or 4 years now.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when do they meet?
They meet, I think it's the second or third Tuesday of every month. Different subcommittees meet at different times, but my subcommittee meets at 9:30 in the morning, or at 9 in the morning, and then the full council meets at 10. And the meetings rarely go longer than an hour. They're very efficiently run.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, just because I'm suggesting that, I haven't been for a while, so I think I need to give up my position. It doesn't have to be someone from Shutesbury. It can be someone from any one of the 4 counties, but they have, in the past, had trouble getting someone from public health. So I just throw it out there. You can think about it if you want to call me and get more information. If you'd like me to forward, our agendas and minutes from our meeting, I'm happy to do that.
Or if there's a way to just attend as a member of the general public and get a feel
Yeah.
for the meeting.
Yeah, you can do that too. I can forward my, meeting invitations to
Okay.
anyone
Okay.
who's interested.
That sounds good.
Thank you.
I can tell you that I don't really know what's going on with the district. I sent an email recently to everybody over there in Irving, asking them to confirm what I suppose is that David Gillis has been offered the position, that he's accepted the position, and when's he gonna start? I don't know that any of that is true. I mean, they said they were gonna offer him the position and it was gonna start sometime in November, but I have not had any confirmation of this. And when I sent this email, the only person who responded was Betsy Sicard, who's the sort of administrative assistant or something over there. And she said she would defer to Brian Smith and Jeff, I forget Jeff's last name, but he's from the Board of Health. Brian Smith is the town administrator, to answer this, and that's the last I've heard. It was only like today or yesterday, but it's kind of weird. So I don't know if something has derailed this. It was looking like we had a health agent, even though it was a health agent. Didn't know anything about being a health agent.
Mm.
So I'll let you know when I find anything out. So let's talk about what we may or may not have learned about data centers and battery storage centers and so on. Talking with Arlene before the meeting started, she suggested that we're giving a lot of attention to data centers, and yet what we originally started talking about and what Mike Hugo came to talk to us about was regulating battery energy storage systems. And one reason it's important to do that, I don't remember if Mike talked about this, but BESSes, we'll call them BESSes, have been classified by the state as solar installations, even if they are not associated with actual solar collection, because it's part of the state's energy goals for the next decade or so. As such, they are sheltered from other kinds of local regulation. So, for example, the planning board cannot regulate them in their zoning bylaw. The only local entity that has the authority to regulate them in any way is the Board of Health. And we can regulate them under mainly, I think, under the provisions that give us control over nuisances and noisome trades, and with a kind of focus on groundwater protection. So all of this look at data centers has been really interesting, and we possibly want to do that. I don't know if anybody had a chance to look at all at the proposed planning board amendments to the zoning bylaw regulating regulating basically data centers, because at this point we still can locally regulate data centers. It doesn't take the Board of Health to do it because the state has now classified them as part of solar installations. But maybe we need to back up a little bit and think more about the battery systems and less about the data centers for right now. It may be that we're going to want a regulation for data centers, and it may be that what the planning board does will be adequate. So I'm not positive where to start here.
Did I misread the text thread from the planning board and DiChiara? How do you pronounce his name?
DiChiara.
DiChiara, that it is it's not in our purview to promulgate regulations, that they want to be the ones to do that?
I am not sure what actual communication you're talking about, but they are moving forward with an amendment to the zoning bylaw having to do with data centers to be voted on at town meeting 2026. They are not averse to our doing whatever we want, really. But they also have authority in the particular case of data centers. All right, they don't have that much authority in the case of BESSes.
And they are asking us, am I right, to join a conversation with them at their next meeting, which is Monday.
10th. Yeah.
10th. Yeah. And this would be
Right.
a conversation about the draft of a data center bylaw, as I understand it.
Right, data center provisions in the existing zoning bylaw.
Right.
So the thing that we got from Michael just in the last day or two it gives the various, it's a little hard to read because it gives the various changes, the various amendments that would have to be made to the bylaw, so it kind of skips around. But it seemed to me that there were some rather good ideas in it.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I did read it, and so much information coming at me. I'm not sure I am keeping it all straight, but
Okay.
one of the provisions stated, maybe in this document was, yes, okay. As far as its cooling system goes, they are saying a data center shall not, couple of bullet items follow, withdraw groundwater or surface water for cooling purposes. In other words, they're looking for it to use a closed loop system for cooling. They want them to not use refrigerants or heat transfer liquids containing PFAS chemicals, nor use other toxic or hazardous cooling liquids in any quantities that would pose risks if they were released. So
Yeah.
I'm all for that. I thought somewhere in there they were saying, but I might be mixing it up with another document, looking for a closed loop system for cooling.
Right, they don't name it particularly, but that's
Yeah.
what that's really what we want, you know, if they're gonna.
Right, so that no groundwater is being sucked up and no used water is being discharged.
Right, I don't know if that means even the initial, well, the only infusion of water in the cooling system, assuming they use water. Um, if they are allowing it to be drawn one time from the groundwater, or if they have to bring it in from
Yeah.
something else, that's not clear to me.
Well, am I right that the text that's in green in this draft is stuff that is not yet? I don't understand why some things are in green.
There are things that require special discussion by the planning board. So this is a draft that's being submitted to the other members of the planning board for discussion and amendment.
Okay.
It's not in any
Okay.
final version.
Well, the provisions that I just listed, you know, a center shall not withdraw groundwater or surface water. That's not in green. That is in black
Mhm.
in that draft. So that may mean that it's not up for discussion. I don't really understand.
I think that the idea is Michael wrote this and he highlighted the things that he thought were going to be, you know, specific discussion issues.
Okay.
I would assume everything is up for discussion, but obviously data centers need cooling, but battery storage systems need cooling too. So that part of it is going to be pretty similar. I sent a question to Mike Hugo and I didn't get a response, which is not the first time that's happened when I've asked Mike Hugo questions. I asked about that. Can we require closed loop cooling? You know, and I also asked about siting. If we can from the outset eliminate certain areas from consideration for any of these kinds of centers. I was thinking of the Lake Wyola zoning district and the town center zoning district, because that's where we have the most population density. I was also thinking of the DCR land uphill of 202 that is Quabbin watershed. I don't think they would put one there, but who the hell knows. I guess that's all for places that we can eliminate, that I wonder if we can simply remove those areas from consideration and simply say that they can't be cited there.
Mhm.
However, I didn't get an answer back from him.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go see if I can look at that email. Yeah, here it is. Right, that was the zoning thing. Can we enact specific requirements on the operation? Oh. I've asked about requiring closed loop cooling and also about the question of batteries. What kind of batteries are allowed? I was talking with Michael DeCura the other day when I was in town hall, and he said there are in fact other kinds of batteries that are not so highly flammable. And I think that he touches on that in the data center bylaw document that I circulated to you. One of them is I can't remember exactly iron what, but there's some kind of iron sulfate or something in one of these batteries, and I think the fact that the iron is inert makes it less flammable. And so I was wondering if we can require a less flammable battery to be used, and that would be in either case, data or a battery.
Mhm. And I guess, as I understand it, the two types of centers are often found together, that a BESS is typically located near a data center. I may be wrong about that, but I think they're often in tandem.
I think that how that works may be that a BESS is can be part of a data center because they need energy backup to keep running in case there's some kind of
Mhm.
glitch. So they have these things as backup power.
Mhm.
So in that case, if whether they are freestanding, whether they are attached to solar installations, or whether they are part of data centers, it seems like we have a handle on all of them.
Mhm.
Right.
And I see the section on the draft about the different types of batteries. It's on the third page of Michael's document, under electrical storage and backup. And you're right, it's something lithium iron phos. And he's got the chemical abbreviations. I'm not sure whether PO4 is what PO4 represents, but anyway, it's got a lot of chemical abbreviations in there.
Right, but if we can require that,
Mm-hmm.
or something still safer.
He's suggesting so. That one of his bullet items is prohibit or allow lithium ion batteries. This is something for discussion. And if lithium ion, allow only lithium iron something. Anyway, so he's saying that there needs to be discussion about what types of batteries might be allowed.
Okay, then it seems to me that we could do the same, we can kind of do the same thing. But we don't know much about batteries. Right, except we know that lithium ion batteries tend to spontaneously combust.
Right.
So on a sort of related tangent here, I have heard through an unnamed source that the planning board, certain members of the planning board, are pretty uneducated about the Board of Health and what its powers and what its scope is. So whoever goes, and I will certainly go to that planning board meeting on the 10th, and if others want to go, if it's gonna be more than two of us, we'll have to post it as a joint meeting. Part of our mission there is gonna have to explain, I mean, apparently this person didn't understand why the Board of Health was getting involved in groundwater protection, because he said, what does that have to do with health? So,
Oh my God.
right, it's only our core mission. You know? So obviously, we need to do a little bit of missionary work there to kind of explain what our scope of action is and what our powers are. So how do you think we should move forward right now? Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
So,
Well, at least one of us should be at the planning board meeting.
absolutely,
Um,
I intend to attend it. If anybody else can, that would be very helpful, I think.
yeah, it's at 7, right?
I think
It's
so.
at
We'll
7.
have
Are
we'll have
we
specific
slated?
agenda time, but I don't know what it is.
Okay, and
It's
I
not
have
supposed to be it.
a conflicting obligation that night, but so I don't know if I'll be able to come.
Okay.
My other obligation's at 7:30.
Mhm. Yeah, when the agenda gets posted, which will probably be, this is the 5th, it'll be fairly soon. End of the week, I guess. Then we'll know what time approximately, at least, we're gonna be on the agenda. Garrett, you're unmuted. Were you gonna speak?
The way that I've been trying to think about this in terms of our role is around groundwater protection regulations.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for example, when you read through what the planning board provided to us, it really doesn't go into that detail. So I wonder if the way that we can support them in what they're trying to accomplish is by pursuing groundwater protection regulation that, so for example, in what was provided to us, they don't talk about like a hydrogeological study. They don't talk about sentinel wells. Those are things that we could build into a Board of Health groundwater protection regulation as it relates to things like battery storage and data centers or dumps. Typically the groundwater protection regulations talk about things like dumps and the like, but
Mm-hmm.
more modern regulations could talk about data centers. So I wonder if that's the way that we support the effort,
Mm-hmm.
is focusing on adopting sort of what the state has put out as template regulations for local communities to adopt.
Yeah, but it's also, I think we go further than just groundwater protection with both data centers and BASs. There's also a nuisance, what's considered to be a nuisance factor that the BOHs would be involved with. Lighting and noise, for instance. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what Michael provided talked about an existing light nuisance bylaw.
Mhm.
So some of that might already be addressed.
Yeah, he addresses both of those issues, lighting and noise, and on that 3rd page, I think,
Mhm.
lighting, signage, noise, and visual impacts. all of which could contribute to a nuisance factor.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how much a regulation that we adopt could, take on. Aesthetic questions the way planning board can, but certainly the other ones. Yeah, yeah, there's kind of two ways of thinking about that. Garrett's got the idea of having something that's much more overarching and covers these and other kinds of nuisances also. But then that if it's focused on groundwater, then I think we kind of miss out some of the other things
Mhm.
that we would need.
I think another gap on what Michael sent was around air quality. I mean, it briefly touches on it.
Mhm.
It just says electrical storage and battery systems shall comply with noise and air quality standards of the town of Shutesbury. But we at least, I don't know what that means per se, air quality standards of the town of Shutesbury.
Right, what are
Right,
the?
what air quality standards do we have? I have no idea. And I wonder how we could address that, if we need to address that. In a regulation that we would pass.
I mean, it might be addressed through DEP already. We'd have to look into that, but
Okay.
Remind me, the Wendell document, was that for data centers or BESS?
That I believe was for Bess. And then we also got from Orange,
Yes, for Beth, Wendell is best.
right? And then from Orange, we got something that's more like groundwater protection.
Right, but it takes in much more than just data center and best applications as well.
That's true, and it also, the reason I didn't actually give it too much attention because it seems to me that it had to do with, the zone 2 of public water supplies and so on. We don't hardly have any of those, and so it seemed a little bit not.
Yeah,
for
I
us.
wasn't clear on that, and yeah.
Right. So that seemed kind of just not a good match for us.
Yeah.
Well, there are 2 meetings actually for us to attend. Or for some of us to attend. I will certainly get to both of them. There is the planning board meeting on the 10th, and there's also a conservation commission meeting on the it might be on the 13th.
I think it was the 18th, but
Oh, please no.
I remember seeing, was that was the reply from,
From Beth Wilson.
right. 13th, you were right.
Oh, good. Good. Seems like everybody wants to do something on the 18th, and the 18th is my birthday. And I'd kind of like to not go to meetings on that day, but it's getting difficult.
Yeah.
That seems to be a really popular day for meetings. So I don't think that that's gonna be very complicated with the Concom. I mean, they wanna be consulted. But, basically, I think it's gonna be a matter of going and talking about what their concerns are, and I assume that their concerns are gonna have to do with wetland setbacks and that kind of thing. So. All right, so this is the 5th, so we'd be meeting again on the 19th, right? So by that time, we will have had the planning board meeting and the Concom meeting. And let's say by that time, I will I will have a rough draft of a regulation, or at least an outline of a regulation listing the things that seem like they should go in it.
Mhm.
Kat, if it would be helpful, I did a very ironic thing. I utilized a data center and had artificial intelligence generate a draft Board of Health regulation.
Awesome, awesome. Can you send it around?
Yeah, I will send it to you.
Okay.
Oh.
That is ironic.
It's pretty funny.
All right.
Now that this conversation, we sort of opened this conversation at our last meeting, I don't hear anything but like everything I'm hearing is all about AI and data centers. I feel like it's just everywhere.
Apparently so. Apparently so. I watched the video that Garrett sent the link for, and then there was another, the other videos came. So I watched the one from Business Insider, and it was pretty horrible. It was focusing on. Did you watch that one where somebody some little neighborhood is becoming completely surrounded by data centers?
Oh, no,
in
if there
all
were
these-
two of them, I must have watched the other.
Yeah, it wasn't the one that Garrett sent the link to, but there were associated ones, and I watched this one, and so in this, there's this nice little neighborhood somewhere, and all the undeveloped land around it has been bought up and converted into data centers, and more and more all the time.
Evidently, a huge one is planned currently for Westfield.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah, evidently there are 3 in Springfield, couple or one, I guess, in Worcester. Most of them are in Boston,
Mhm.
but this gigantic one is planned for Westfield currently.
But
Mhm.
the developer withdrew their application.
Oh, is that
Oh.
right?
Yes.
For
Do you
So
know why?
I reviewed the Westfield newspaper articles about it, and I forget the name of the guy who championed the protest against it, but there was such a groundswell of citizen concern that they just withdrew their application.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
So I'm not sure if Westfield ever got to the point of drafting any regulation. That was not clear to me
Mhm.
from looking at the papers, but um, yeah, I don't think one is going in there.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Interesting.
there's this dilemma, I guess, or maybe there's a better word for it, but nobody it's like a NIMBY thing. Nobody wants the units in their backyard, but people increasingly want data and want to be able to use AI, and whether they realize they're doing so or not. Yeah, it's
Right. Yeah, it is a paradox. Another thing that I wanted to tell you is that I noticed in the material that Noreen got from Orange,
Mhm.
they have this draft groundwater protection regulation, but they have it because their planning boards attempted regulation. I can't remember if it was Beth's or data centers, but it did not stand up in court,
Mhm.
apparently. So somebody said that in an email, right? But there was no such regulation because it basically failed. And I think it was clear that it failed in court. So we have to be kind of careful.
And
Right.
just to add to that, I think they too are having a public hearing on their regulation, and I think that was the 18th, Kat.
Oh,
I'd have to look. Let me see if I can, let me check and make sure, but they are having a public hearing coming up.
and that's on the groundwater protection regulation.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the 18th, public hearing on the 18th.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, I would hope that that was available by Zoom, but, so I was thinking about attending that just to see what kinds of issues come up and, you know.
That would be great. If it's a Zoom, you can attend it. That would be fantastic.
Mhm.
And then you can tell us about it on the 19th when we have our meeting.
Yeah, oh, yes.
Before
All,
you forget.
all that I understand about it, I'm happy to share.
Yeah, right. I hear you.
And that Wendell document, do you think that it is comprehensive and enforceable potentially so that, I mean, it sounds like if that already exists, why would we look to reinvent the whole thing?
Well,
Well, I don't think it is comprehensive. I don't think that the things that I mentioned before, like citing specific citing regulation or criteria and specific prohibitions on certain substances and kinds of batteries and stuff like that. I didn't feel that they addressed those things. And so it seemed to me that there was quite a lot of form there, right? They have to comply with this and they have to, right, have this much space and stuff. But I felt like there was some content missing. But as a sort of framework, I think it's a good start. But I'd like to see some more things in it if
and
we can
any
have.
regulation that is enacted by a Board of Health still has to be approved by the Office of the Attorney General. Am I right, Kat?
I don't know. I thought
believe-
so, but I'm not positive about that. Garrett might know more because he's a,
I
Probably.
think that is true.
it is true.
I think so.
Okay.
Well, maybe we should look more broadly and search for um another set of regulations in Springfield. I'm astounded that, you know, if they in fact do have three of these, nobody knew anything about it. Like I just came up with dead end after dead end, talking to the Department of Public Health. They didn't have a clue what they were or whether they're regulated.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like they're not, or they would know about it.
I would think so, but
Yeah, there's one called the Springfield Data Center. And then there's another one called Accelerate. Oh, that might not be in Springfield. I'm looking at points on a map. They're
Hmm.
not all in Springfield. It looks like there's Springfield. There's one in just north of Westover.
Hmm.
So that, I don't know what town that falls in. Maybe Granby.
Maybe.
And then something labeled Westfield IT Support Company and Managed IT Services. Anyway, so I guess I should have said 3 in the Springfield area, but not
Mm.
nearly all in Springfield. But another 4 in the Worcester area and a whole cluster of them in the Boston area. If you just do a search for data centers in Massachusetts and look for a map,
Mhm.
um, brings them up. but nothing that I can see in any very rural area, although that one north of Westover, who knows? Looks like it's in Granby.
One of the things about, I think, both BESS and data centers is that they need to be comparatively close to a fairly large power supply, right? Not just, sort of at the end of a power line, but near a transformer.
Mhm.
So it's fairly limited. I mean, you can't just go out in the woods and set one up,
Mhm.
because they need to be on the grid, and there's so much power involved that it's a large input output. I don't really know how to talk about that, but so I remember when they were talking about having a really big solar installation down off Pratt Corner Road by the substation down there. Remember that? And they determined that the size of the solar installation and the amount of power that would be generated would be, for the size that they originally envisioned, would be too much for that substation to handle. Right, so that they had to cut back on the size of their proposed installation, which, as far as I know, never happened. But that's a real limiting factor. And I'm not sure that there's any place in Shutesbury that meets that power requirement.
Right.
Of course, that can be changed. I mean, somebody can put more transformers or whatever. I wish Bill were here, because he understood electricity extremely well and tried to teach it to me, but I did not learn.
Mhm.
All right. Is there more for us to talk about tonight?
Noreen, can you send me the for the 18th, that public meeting? Because I'll attend that as well. I have to think more about, like, look into other liberal leaning areas where these things are actually cited, and see, it would be great if we could find a good set of regulations
Mhm.
that have been, been challenged where one of these has been constructed. BESS is what I'm talking about. I think if the planning board's more interested and has purview over data centers, maybe we should focus our effort on the BESS thing. But
I think you're right about that, because only we can do the best thing, and they can apparently do the data centers, at least until the state takes that over too,
but I'd be happy to go on the 18th. I'm gonna be out of the country those other 2 dates, the 11th and 13th, so.
Just to answer your question, Wim, I just sent an email request to Ashley Goff, who is the health agent in Orange, who sent the regulations, and asked her if their meeting was going to be available on Zoom and if she would
Cool.
let me know and how. And when I hear from her, I will forward that information to you.
Thanks so
Well,
much.
Noreen, if you
Yeah.
can also ask her, I sent an email to I guess it was the town manager in Orange, whoever was also copied on some of
Right.
her
Yeah.
correspondence, asking about the challenge to the planning board regulation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably the town
I
manager
didn't
knows more
get a
about.
response. No.
Yeah, he probably knows more about that.
Yeah, but he's not saying. I asked specifically, I asked if maybe there was a link to newspaper coverage or something, so you didn't have to, up and explain the whole thing to me, but he didn't answer at all.
Yeah, I had some trouble getting through to them, but actually it was an administrative assistant who got through to me, and soon as she did, and she got me into the administrator to at least make the request. So I can try going through those channels again.
Okay, that'd be great.
I
Um,
am all for the idea of not reinventing the wheel, and if we can
Yeah.
find
right.
a community that has, enough characteristics in common with us, and there's a well composed regulation, I'm all for, using it as a boilerplate.
Well,
Yeah,
that would be great, and I mean, to a certain extent, that's Wendell, and we can certainly start with the Wendell reg and build on it if there
Yep.
are particular concerns. Since this is all comparatively new, I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't very many regulations out there at all.
Okay.
And then there's the issue in the current political climate, even if there are regulations, why follow them?
yes.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, and then if you read or if you watched the video Garrett sent, there's a lot of money involved in these data centers, a lot of money. So,
yeah. Yeah, a lot of money is being put into them and they're expecting to get a lot of money out of them.
exactly.
Well, and the amount of, I mean, the door is wide open on this at this point, right? I mean, the amount of computing that they need to meet future demand is going to require more and more of those mega sites that were featured in
Right.
the video, which for me sort of brings to question whether or not we would even be a target for development, because I don't know that we can match what they need to meet the demand, in terms of
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's
activity.
true. It would be pretty, they'd be scraping the bottom barrel from their point of view to try to set something up in a town like this.
Right.
Because
But it's not
other
impossible.
places where it's more
And
easy.
we don't want to be caught flat-footed.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
fair.
yeah, exactly. Well, there was something else I was thinking of to say, but about, as usual, it's escaped me.
Was it beaver related?
It wasn't, no, it was about this.
Oh,
That seems to be moving forward, but it's been kind of slow and I'm not getting much communication about it, but it seems to have started. There's been some pushback from citizens who, out of kind-heartedness, don't want to kill any beavers and think that there must be some way of not doing that. But there's just an awful lot of wishful thinking about this issue. You know, they really imagine that if there were another way, we wouldn't have already found it. But there it is. Yeah, I was gonna say something about the orange thing or the Wendell thing, but I don't remember what it was. If it's really important, I'll let you know. And I will send out an email as we get close to those other meetings and see who can go. I'm planning to go to both of them, but and that's enough, but I would appreciate some, backup if anybody can do it.
Kat, may I just have a second to converse with Garrett about the collaborative?
Sure, go ahead.
Garrett, it looks like the meeting's on the 13th and you cannot make that meeting, is that correct?
Garrett, you're muted.
I'm just looking at calendars here.
Oh.
13. I can do that one, Noreen.
Okay, do you want to do that one, or I think I can do that one too, but I thought you had sent a message that you couldn't, but maybe that was for.
No, that was the last one I couldn't
Okay.
do.
Right,
If it ends up that you can't do the 13th, I'll go, but
okay. I'll let you know. Thank you.
and just for your awareness, Ryan from Montague is going to be leaving his position, so he's not.
No, I was afraid of that.
Yeah, so he's not going to be in that in Franklin County any longer. So
Oh, yeah, he was getting, yeah, he's too, yeah. Oh, that's
he's too
unfortunate.
bad. Yep, he's
Yeah.
he's good.
He's a really good guy and did a great job, so that's a shame. Okay.
Okay. I'm thinking that I was wanting to tell you something about that other video, but I can't remember what it was. I can tell you, if you haven't driven by to notice, that the septic system at the new library has been installed.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting there. All right. If we don't have anything else to talk about, let's adjourn. And we all have our assignments, I guess, for between now and then. So unless I hear an objection, I'm gonna declare the meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Hearing none, let's go our ways, and thank you all, and good night.
Good
Thanks.
night.
Good night.
All right.
Happy birthday, Kat, coming up.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Noreen.